The fallopian tube is also called as uterine tube. So this fallopian tube, they are pad structures measuring 10 centimeter in size, and they are situated in the medial 3/4 of the upper free margin of the broad ligaments. And there are two openings in the fallopian tube, that is uterine opening and pelvic opening. Uterine opening is the one communicating with the lateral angle of the uterine cavity, and it measures 1 millimeter in diameter. The other opening, that is pelvic opening or abdominal ostium. This pelvic opening is called as abdominal ostium. This pelvic opening is on the lateral end of the fallopian tube, and it measures 2 millimeter in diameter. So the fallopian tube, they are pad structures measuring 10 centimeters, and they are situated in the medial 3/4 of the upper free margin of the broad ligaments. And each fallopian tube has got two openings, that is uterine opening and pelvic opening. Uterine opening is 1 millimeter in diameter. Pelvic opening is 2 millimeter in diameter. Pelvic opening is also called as abdominal ostium. And this uterine opening has got like it communicates with lateral angle of uterine cavity. Pelvic opening communicates with the lateral end of the tube. Parts of fallopian tube. The fallopian tube contains four parts, that is interstitial part or the intramural part, isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum. So the four parts of fallopian tube include interstitium, isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum. The interstitium or the intramural part lies in the uterine wall, and it measures 1.25 centimeters in length and 1 millimeter in diameter. The isthmus is almost straight, and it measures 2.5 centimeters in length and 2.5 millimeter in diameter. The ampulla is the tortuous part, and it measures 5 centimeter in length. Infundibulum measures 1.25 centimeter in length and maximum diameter of 6 millimeters. The abdominal ostium or the pelvic opening is surrounded by number of radiating fimbriae, and one of these is longer than the rest and is attached to the outer pole of the ovary called as ovarian fimbriae. So, structures of the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube consists of three layers, that is serous, muscular, and mucous membrane. The serous layer consists of peritoneum on all the sides except along the line of attachment of mesosalpinx. The muscular layer is arranged in two layers, that is outer layer and inner layer. The outer layer is longitudinal layer, and the inner layer is circular layer. Mucous membrane is thrown into longitudinal folds, and this mucous membrane is lined by ciliated columnar epithelium. The mucous membrane is lined by columnar epithelium, and it is partly ciliated, not completely ciliated columnar. It's mainly columnar epithelium, partly ciliated, and others will be secretory non-ciliated, and PEG cells will be present. PEG cells will be present in mucous membrane, and the epithelium rests on delicate vascular reticulum of the connective tissue. There is no submucous layer nor any glands. The changes will occur in the tubal epithelium during menstrual cycle, but they are less pronounced, and there is no shedding. So the three structures or three layers of fallopian tube include serous, muscular, and mucous membrane. The serous layer consists of peritoneum on all the sides except along the line of attachment of mesosalpinx. Muscular layer is arranged in two layers, that is outer longitudinal and inner circular layer. Mucous membrane is thrown into longitudinal folds, and it is lined by columnar epithelium, partly ciliated, other secretory non-ciliated, and PEG cells. The epithelium rests on delicate vascular reticulum of the connective tissue. There is no submucous layer nor any glands. The changes occur in tubal epithelium during menstrual cycle, but they are less pronounced, and no shedding is seen. So the functions of a fallopian tube include transport of gametes. The first function, main function, is transport of gametes, then facilitate fertilization and survival of zygote through its secretion. So transport of gametes, fertilization to facilitate the fertilization and survival of zygote through its secretion. These three are the major functions of fallopian tube. So, the blood supply of fallopian tube includes the arterial supplies by uterine artery and ovarian artery. The venous drainage is through the pampiniform plexus into the ovarian veins. The nerve supply is derived from the uterine and ovarian nerves. The fallopian tube is very much sensitive to handling. So, finally, to summarize, the fallopian tube is also called as uterine tube. The fallopian tubes are their pad structures measuring 10 centimeters in size, and they are situated in the medial 3/4 of the upper free margin of the broad ligaments. And each fallopian tube has got two openings, that is uterine opening and pelvic opening. Uterine opening communicates with the lateral angle of the uterine cavity, and it measures 1 millimeter in diameter. And the pelvic opening is also called as abdominal ostium. It opens on the lateral end of the tube and measures 2 millimeter in diameter. And there are four parts of fallopian tube, that is interstitial or intramural part, isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum. And there are three layers in fallopian tube: serous, muscular, and mucous membrane. The serous layer consists of peritoneum and all the sides except along the line of attachment of mesosalpinx. Muscular layer is it is arranged in two layers, that is outer longitudinal and inner circular layer. Mucous membrane is thrown into longitudinal folds. It is lined by columnar epithelium, which is partly ciliated, partly secretory non-ciliated, and PEG cells, PEG PEG cells. So the epithelium rests on delicate vascular reticulum of the connective tissue, and there are no submucous layers, no glands. The changes will occur in tubal epithelium during menstrual cycle, but these changes are less pronounced and no shedding. And functions of fallopian tube include transport of gametes to facilitate fertilization, survival of zygote through its secretion. So arterial supply is from uterine artery, ovarian artery. Venous drainage is through pampiniform plexus to the ovarian veins. Nerve supply through the uterine and ovarian nerves.